Hallo, willst du Deutsch lernen? Do you want to learn German? Awesome. Then stay tuned and learn about how you can learn German the natural way with TPRS. So my name is Pia. I've been teaching German as a foreign language for 3 years. I'm a certified Waldorf teacher and also I'm a TPRS trainer. You can follow my channel. You can find a lot of insights from my classes on this channel and more other helpful information. So, how can you learn German the natural way? First off, I know a lot of people who have been to several German schools, and I've taken French and Spanish in school while university, and yeah, I would say I learned quite a lot in those classes, but half a year later, I forgot pretty much everything. So, how can you make sure this doesn't happen to you? Well, the very simplest thing in there is practice. And by practice, I don't mean opening up a vocabulary book and just writing down all the different words and just, memorize all the words, because that's not how we use language, right? In your mother tongue, when you do that. So German is my mother tongue, and I didn't learn that when I was 1 or 2 with a grammar book. But I learned that in interaction. So when I was speaking to my parents, to my siblings, to like friends and family, and there's always an interaction, it's always about meaning. So the first really important rule is make it comprehensible. No matter what you're reading, what you're learning, what you're doing in the foreign language, make sure it becomes comprehensible to you so that you understand at least 95%. It's okay not to understand 5% because, let's be honest, in our everyday life, we don't always understand 100%, but 100% would be the goal. So, you can get that in a normal language class by just constantly asking your teacher or constantly looking up the words, because usually in a normal language class you get overloaded with new grammar and new vocabulary and you practice very little. That's why so many people leave a normal language class and they feel like they just make mistakes, and they're just really afraid to make mistakes because there are so many you can make. So in TPRS, that's not the case. So the way I teach German is through a story. That means we have a story outline, and in class we add more details to it. And then we have different characters in the story. So I'll be in the story, you'll be in the story, other students will be in the story, and then we can really kind of like create the story, which is really fun because we always have something to talk about. There's some action going on. I have a class that's about Lord of the Rings. I have a class that's about Matrix, a movie, you might know it. And I have classes that are about, going to the office, because that's a vocab you need. So pretty much it can be about anything that's useful or interesting. Interesting is a really important aspect, because if you are not interested in the topic, why should you even take a look at it? Like, this is supposed to be fun. It's not supposed to be hard work. Yes, there might be topics you have to learn or you should learn, even though you don't really find them very interesting. But in my experience of the past 3 years, you can make nearly anything interesting. I can make weather talk interesting as soon as it relates to me, as soon as it just affects me. It doesn't have to be me personally, but me and the story. And that's a really cool aspect about TPRS. Generally speaking, my students give me feedback that my classes are really motivating, that they feel very self-confident in speaking, and also that they feel very secure. So these are aspects you kind of want to achieve no matter where you learn German. So why am I telling you all of that? Well, first of all, because I think it's just a pity how bad many German classes are, or just generally language classes in general. And by that, I don't want to criticize all the teachers out there, but it has to do a lot with not knowing how to put in action what the research has shown about how our brains and how we learn. And often has to do with making money because you want to print books, or it has to do with making it easy. It's much simpler as a teacher to open a book and say, okay, everyone, go to page 25 and now let's read that text. If that text is actually really fitting, like if it really suits your needs, that's secondary, because it's easier for the teacher to say, okay, you should be at that level, and you didn't study that hard, because, well, who likes to study really hard? Not many people. So you feel guilty that you didn't work enough. Your teacher says you should have worked, and then so you just feel ashamed. You don't want to say any word, and you just feel like you're getting dragged along. You can understand, let's say, something here and something there, but you don't get the full picture, and you're scared to ask because that would show you were lazy. So that's kind of like a vicious cycle, because it doesn't get anyone anything. You don't get to speak fluently, which is what you want. You feel like you're a loser. The teacher doesn't have a lot of extra work and just says, well, it's your job. And then the companies make money with the book. So I guess that's an explanation why things are like that. In my class, that's not how things work. I prepare a lot, which doesn't make my life easier, but it makes your life a lot easier, because the only homework you would get is like extra credit homework, and it's really just because you want to do it. So my students ask me for homework, I don't give it to them. If they say, hey, can you give me an exercise where I can practice a little, I'd be like, sure, here's a whole lot. And then they want to, and they can, and they want to practice with that. So instead of like learning like that and feeling like you have to catch up all the time, it's so much easier to just know whatever you have to learn will take place in class. This is what I do in my classes, and I want to tell you a little bit about a class that's starting soon. It is a total beginners class. We already had 10 hours before, like 2 months ago. So there was a pretty long summer break because all the kids from the class wanted to have a summer break. So we'll start with a little bit of revision, and no matter if you never had any German, you could still jump in, because we start with a new sentence every class. So it's really, really easy for you to catch up. And so I'll give you a sentence in the class, and then we'll circle the sentence. That means I give you a lot of yes and no questions. Then we'll triangle the sentence, which means I'll ask individual students, who can always say, I pass. But mostly nobody passes, but because it's just everybody answers. So I ask individual students and be like, hey, who has a house? For example, if the sentence was Peter has a house, and then we have elaborated that I don't have a house, but Marie has a house, and Peter has a house, and Jeremy has a ship. So that could be like a very first sentence. And then I would ask you, for example, be like, who has a house? And then you would say, you don't have a house, he has a house, and you can pretty much talk as much as you like. And you can also say, I passed, and then I'll be like, okay, we'll come back to you later. So this will be triangling. And then we go into describe the situation, which is really your practice time. Either you kind of talk to yourself and you just kind of practice it, or you team up with another partner and then you just talk to each other and you just like practice all the words, all the sentences we just did in class. And then you'll come back and I'll describe the situation so you can hear how it's correctly said, and that way you can become better and better and better. So if you're interested in this class, it takes place on Mondays. Let me show you. Just right here. Oops. So the course will start on August 23rd, and it's an ongoing course, so there will definitely be a winter break. but generally speaking, it's just going to go on. So if you want to start now, you will get one class every Monday. The hour of our class is 3 p.m. German time. That's what CEST means. So depending on where you are, you might want to check where that is. In the US, this is usually pretty early in the morning, between, well, I guess 6 and 8 a.m., depending on where in the US you are. But if you are somewhere in the East, so like China or Korea, this would be in the late afternoon. So, in addition to our live online classes, there will be interactive reading material. You will get access to the ebook library from tprs.books, and we will record the classes. So that has a huge advantage that, let's say for some reason you won't make it to this one class, then you can just watch the recording and you didn't miss anything. Also, I'm planning to implement some open practice sessions in which we're not going to have like a typical class, but it's just going to be an open space for everyone to join and to just simply practice some German conversations, which is going to be great because more questions are going to arise and these questions can then be answered in class. So what will you get? So first of all, you will get a lot of speaking practice because my group classes are not like, hey, who has the answer? And then there's silence and nobody says anything. And then the same person is always raised their arm. No, that's not going to be the case. You'll be speaking the entire time. There's going to be a lot of speaking practice and we'll have class once a week. So you will gain confidence in speaking German for sure, which is also a great difference to many other German courses because, like I mentioned before, in many other German courses, there's not a lot of speaking practice. And then also you get overloaded with grammar and vocab so that you just feel like you don't even know what to say because you're going to make like a million mistakes anyway. You'll become really confident with what you will learn. So you will speak with ease. And this is really kind of the natural way to learn a language. Yeah, you remember from my early example why. So you will get the TPRS book ebook library access, the reading material, 4 hours a class a month. So this would normally cost 50 euros alone, the TPRS books library access. So would the additional reading material cost 150, and then the classes on themselves would be 40 euros. So together that would be 240 euros, but I have a special offer for you, which is 40 euros. So you can get all of these. You can get the TPRS books ebook library access. You can get the additional reading material and the 4 hours a month for 40 euros. So if you want to sign up for the class, you can just click on the link in the subscription, like in the caption of this video, or you can just simply message me. I like to have a message, woohoo, because I like to, I don't know, give you the best experience you can have. So I want to, if you have any questions, feel free to send me a message, depending on where in the world you are. So let's say if you're in the US, I'm based in Germany, so there's an 8-hour or 7 or 6 hour time difference that might lead to a little bit of a delay because I don't have any chat bot and I don't want to use any because it's just impersonal. So I'll answer your emails for sure. Also, if you answer, like leave me a comment on this YouTube video, I'll answer 100%. It might just take a little while because if you comment at, let's say, 3 a.m. in the morning for me, it'll take until the next morning for me. So, but I'm really happy to hear from you. I would love to receive your questions or your experiences with all these kind of things. And I would love to see you in this German class. So I would say see you on the 23rd. And let me know if you have any questions. And subscribe to my channel. Bye-bye. Tschüss!